Most people believe that growing older means surrendering control over our bodies, our choices, even our dignity. But I am here to remind you of something unforgettable. Age does not steal your power unless you hand it over. Too many seniors walk into clinics and hospitals assuming they must accept every test, every scan, every procedure, simply because it's offered. But after 70, there are certain medical tests that may do more harm than good physically, emotionally, and financially. I have looked into the eyes of patients who underwent painful procedures they never needed, and I've withstood busy and R&D families who learned that fear not science drove unnecessary testing. So today, I am speaking to protect you, your voice, and your right to say no. Your body is not an experiment. Your golden years should not be spent in waiting rooms, swallowed by anxiety, or drowning under medical bills. UDA bars serve peace, comfort, and clarity, not worry. Life after 70 should be lived with purpose, joy, and choices that respect your wisdom. And that begins with knowing the 3 medical tests you are allowed to refuse without guilt, without pressure, and without fear. Too often, adults over 70 are treated as if their consent is automatic, their signature a mere formality, and their voice an optional accessory in the medical process. But the truth is powerful, and it must be said clearly. You have the legal and ethical right to decline any test that does not serve your health, your comfort, or your peace of mind. Medicine is not a chain of commands. It is a partnership. Tests are not obligations. They are choices. No matter how confidently someone in a white coat speaks, no matter how urgent their tone, and no matter how intimidating the hospital setting may feel, you still hold the final word. You do not lose autonomy at 70. You do not surrender it at 80. You do not outgrow it at 90. Your body, your history, and your lived experience make you the expert of your own well-being. And when a medical test offers no meaningful benefit for your age, your health condition, or your goals, saying NNT is not reckless. It is responsible, wise, and legally protected. There is a truth many seniors never hear. Unnecessary tests can cause physical harm, emotional fear, and financial stress. A scan can lead to biopsies. Biopsies can lead to surgeries, and surgeries can lead to complications that steal TRL mobility, independence, and joy. A false alarm can fill nights with fear and days with doctor visits that lead nowhere except deeper into worry. Age should not be spent recovering from procedures that never needed to happen. It should be spent living, holding hands, telling stories, laughing with grandchildren, walking in fresh air, resting without fear. When a test does not improve quality of life, prevent meaningful illness, or extend life in a real, measurable way, it becomes more burden than benefit. And the law supports your right to decline that burden. Doctors have an ethical duty. Call NBR informed consent. That means they must explain the risks, the potential benefits, and the alternatives before recommending a test. Consent is not just a signature, it is a conversation. You are not supposed to feel rushed, frightened, or pressured. You are not required to agree out of politeness or fear of offending your doctor. You have the right to ask questions like, what will this test change about my care? Is this likely to improve my life at my age? What happens if I choose not to do it? If a doctor cannot clearly explain how a test will help you, not someone your age in gene or tenor L, not statistics on a chart, but you have every right to refuse. And refusing does not mean you are giving up on life. It means you are choosing a life that values comfort, purpose, and dignity over unnecessary intervention. Many seniors say yes simply because they believe refusal equals irresponsibility. But in reality, some of the strongest, most courageous decisions are made by those who confidently protect their bodies from needless medical stress. Families often worry more than the patient, pushing tests out of fear rather than truth. But loved ones too must understand, protecting someone from pain, anxiety, or pointless medical chase is an act of care, not neglect. The most important part is that the law is on your side. Every patient has the right to informed refusal. Doctors cannot punish you, deny treatment, or label you as difficult for saying no. Ethically, they respect your decision because autonomy is one of the highest principles in medicine. Your rights do not expire with age. You still own your decisions, your comfort, and your future. And if a healthcare provider dismisses your concerns or refuses to listen, you are allowed to switch doctors. The best physicians know that real healing includes respect, dignity, and choice. So remember this, not just in your mind, but in your heart. Your life is yours. Your body is yours. Your decisions are yours. And after 70, your time becomes more precious, more personal, and more meaningful than ever. You do not owe it to anyone to endure tests that bring fear instead of clarity, pain instead of peace, or cost instead of comfort. You have the right to breathe, to live gently, to choose joy over worry. And sometimes, the most powerful word a patient can speak is a simple, strong, and confident no. The DBRNRI is a quiet truth, hidden beneath the shine of modern medicine. More testing does not always mean more life. Many seniors are told that every scan, every blood draw, every screening is a step toward living longer. But that is not always real medicine. It is sometimes fear disguised as caution. Not every medical test is designed with your age, your comfort, or your personal goals in mind. In fact, many tests only find things that would never have harmed you, and once something is found, the medical system feels obligated to chase it. What begins as a simple test can turn into a chain of appointments, biopsies, surgeries, and treatments that exhaust the very years they promise to protect. When you reach 70, the picture of health changes. Most research shows that certain screenings do not add meaningful time to life at this stage, because diseases often grow slowly, too slowly, to ever to a remaining lifespan. A tiny shadow on a scan might never develop into anything dangerous, yet once it is discovered, it becomes a problem that doctors feel pressure to solve. And solving it may come with pain, fear, and complications. Surgeries can limit mobility, anesthesia can affect memory, NBR&Y, hospital stays can increase confusion, medication side effects can damage kidneys, liver, or heart. What was supposed to help can accidentally steal independence. A person who once walked freely might end up recovering for months. A person who once slept peacefully might spend nights awake, worrying about results that did not matter. And beyond the physical cost, there is the emotional one. Many seniors lose more life in waiting rooms and lab corridors than they ever gain from the test itself. They sit with anxious hearts, waiting for calls, waiting for results, waiting for what might be wrong, instead of living the days they have with joy. A false positive, a test that suggests danger when there is none, can break a spirit, scare a family, and lead to painful procedures that were never needed. Doctors do not always talk about this part. They focus on finding every problem, even the ONTRNES, that would never hurt you. But being alive is not the same as being truly living. A test that takes away peace, mobility, or comfort is not medicine. It is disruption disguised as care. Quality of life becomes the greatest treasure as we age. The ability to wake up without pain, to enjoy meals without side effects, to walk without dizziness, to laugh without fear, that is real health. Tests that do not improve those things may not deserve space in your life. There are seniors who spent their final years chasing tiny findings that were harmless, while others, who refused unnecessary screening spent their time traveling, celebrating birthdays, watching sunsets, and holding the hands of the people they love. The difference was not in the length of life, but in its richness. There is wisdom in choosing comfort over constant monitoring. Many doctors quietly admit that aggressive testing and create more problems than it solves in older adults. But patients rarely hear this truth, because the medical world is trained to look for disease, not necessarily to protect joy. You are allowed to decide that joy matters more. You are allowed to decide that peace is more valuable than chasing very medical possibility. You are allowed to choose a life that is full, not full of appointments. There is courage in understanding your own priorities. If a test will not change treatment, if it will not improve how you feel, if it will not extend life in a meaningful way, then it might be taking more than it gives. No one should spend their last precious golden years recovering from procedures they never needed. Those years should be lived in sunlight, in laughter, in stories, in warmth, not under fluorescent hospital lights. So remember this: you do not measure life by the number of tests you take. You measure it by mornings filled with comfort, by faces you love, by breaths you take without fear. Medicine should protect life, not just the beating heart, but the soul inside it. And if a test cannot offer that protection, you have every right to say no. Healthcare should be a sanctuary of compassion, honesty, and respect. Yet too often, especially for older adults, it becomes a place of pressure, confusion, and profit-driven decisions. The purpose of medicine has always been simple: to heal, to comfort, and to protect. But somewhere along the way, systems grew larger than people. NWR numbers became louder than stories, and many patients, especially those over 70, were treated as charts instead of human beings. That is why dignity, comfort, and informed choice matter more than ever. A doctor's first responsibility is not to order the most expensive test, or the newest scan, or the MMNERgent Ost dramatic treatment. Their first responsibility is to care to listen to your fears, respect your boundaries, and help you make decisions that honor the life you want to live. No patient should ever feel intimidated into saying yes, nor should they ever be made to believe that refusing a test means NDDRNS refusing hope. Fear has no place in healthcare. A person deserves peace when discussing their health, not a knot in their stomach or pressure to sign papers they don't fully understand. There is an uncomfortable truth many people never hear. Some tests and procedures are recommended not because THNBRDEY are necessary, but because they are profitable. Hospitals, clinics, and corporations earn money from testing. Insurance companies create systems built on billing, statistics, and quotas. When profit becomes louder than compassion, the patient becomes smaller in the conversation. But you are not a mall. You are not a number. You are a human being with emotions, history, and dreams. You have the right to ask, is this for my benefit or someone else's? The moment a test threatens your dignity by causing unnecessary pain, invasion, embarrassment, or confusion, it should be questioned. You deserve to RVE comfort. You deserve respect. You deserve the truth. Many seniors are scared into accepting tests they don't want. They hear frightening words like, just to be safe, or we don't want to miss something, and suddenly the decision no longer feels like a choice. It feels like a trap. But medicine should never operate by fear. A patient should feel empowered, not frightened. A good doctor understands that comfort matters just as much as treatment. If a test will not change the course of your care, if it will not improve your daily life, if it only adds stress or pain, then refusing. It is not irresponsible, it is smart, humane, and ethical. Healthcare should not steal sleep at night or create anxiety that follows you like a shadow. It should not place heavy financial burdens on families or drain savings meant for joy, travel, or legacy. Medical decisions should add life, not take it away. Informed choice means understanding your options clearly, without pressure, without guilt, and without rushed explanations. You deserve time to think, time to ask questions, time to discuss with family, time to decide what feels right. A doctor has the ethical duty to explain not only what might happen to bird pen if you agree to a test, but also what might happen if you don't. Many times the answer is simple: nothing harmful at all. Sometimes, a peaceful life is better than a medically perfect one. Sometimes comfort is more valuable than a few extra numbers on a chart. Sometimes, joy is stronger than FANBR. A patient with dignity feels respected. A patient with comfort feels safe. A patient with informed choice feels powerful. Every senior has the right to live the final decades of life with grace, not tied to machines, not buried in appointments, not surrounded by fear. Healthcare should lift you, NDPRNP, not weigh you down. It should protect you, not pressure you. And if a test or procedure does not honor your dignity, protect your comfort, or support your informed choice, then it does not serve the true purpose of medicine. You are not here to feed a system. You are here to live a life. In the ETBRND, the greatest lesson is simple. Your years have earned you the right to choose how you live them. You do not owe anyone blind obedience, fear-driven decisions, or endless medical routines that steal more joy than they give. After 70, life becomes precious in a deeper way, Every morning carries Maya and Abartning. Every laugh matters, every peaceful moment is a treasure. And you deserve healthcare that protects those moments, not interrupts them. You deserve doctors who listen to your voice, not talk over it. You deserve choices made with love, not pressure. So if a test does not offer comfort, dignity, or real benefit, you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to ask questions, to demand honesty, to insist on respect. You are allowed to put quality of life above numbers on a paper. Let your decisions be guided by wisdom, not fear. Let your heart remind you that life is more than survival. It is connection, joy, and peace. And sometimes the bravest, healthiest thing you can do is simply say, I choose what matters most to me. Your life is yours. Your voice is strong. And your final chapters deserve to be written with courage, clarity, and freedom.